give me a testy test. Keep going, dog. Keep going.
Check, baby, check, baby. What's up?
There he is. There it is. There it is. There we are. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Kinetic Impressions Movie News. I'm Arnie.
And I'm Andrew.
Right on. On today's Kinetic Impressions Movie News, Netflix is testing a curated linear-style TV and movie channel in France. Jordan Peele just inked a first-look deal with Universal, which will see Jordan Peele produce for 5 years for the studio. Gunpowder Milkshake is an action film that will bring together an all-female cast that includes Karen Gillian, Lena Headey, Angela Bassett, Michelle Yeoh, and Carla, how do you say her name?
Gugino.
Gugino, there it is. Jurassic World Dominion, after 9 months of production during a pandemic, has finally completed production, and Space Jam 2 is rumored to expand the Warner Brothers universe by adding characters from other Warner Brothers properties. That more on Kinetic Impressions Movie News. All right, my man. First up, I want to talk about this Netflix thing. From Variety, let me bring the viewer over. From Variety, Netflix picks France to test first linear offering. The initiative marks Netflix's first foray into real-time scheduled programming. The service previously tested the option of shuffle play, which wasn't in real time but featured a recommended programming to a sample of international users. Explained a source at Netflix. The difference this time around is that the test is being used at certain countries and a certain sample of users. On the website, Netflix said it chose France to test its first linear channel due to the consumption of traditional television in France. Quote, in France, watching traditional TV remains hugely popular with people who just want a lean back experience where they don't have to choose shows, says Netflix. Quote, we're trying a new feature for our members in France called Direct. Maybe you're in the mood to decide, or maybe you're new and finding your way around, or you just want to be surprised by something new and different, said Netflix. All right, my man, I think you and I have been on Netflix for I don't know. I've been on Netflix since before it was popular to be on Netflix. I was on Netflix when it was just DVDs.
I know. I was about to say, I used to get discs in the mail and send them back.
Yeah, I actually still did that, and Netflix actually still does, in fact, offer that service.
Oh, really?
Yeah, side note on that service, you can the mail Netflix option does actually have a much wider array of movies and television shows. It is literally anything that has ever been released on Blu-ray or DVD. You can get Blu-ray. It's a massive library, and you can, I forget how much it was. I don't do it anymore, but for a certain price, you can just get literally anything delivered to you. Back then, there was actually a part of Netflix, I don't know if you remember this, that was like a social aspect of it, where they had people who actually recommended movies, and there was actually a rating system for all movies.
Yeah, and there was a message board. There was a big message board. Yeah, I remember that.
The big message board, and there was curated lists that people made.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually missed that about Netflix. And I used to actually think about what if Netflix did a curated just channel thing that you can just flip through to watch.
This is interesting. I like this concept because I guess I'm old school a little bit, and I'm one of those people. I like to have channels just to see what's on, because there's certain movies that will just come on that I'm like, okay, I can stand to watch this, that I don't know if I would go out and pick. So I like having those those HBO channels or something that are just playing what's on, just because I rather interact or just stumble upon a movie like that. And I kind of enjoy watching a movie that's already halfway through itself. I just ran into Point Break. Yeah. I'd never seen it before, and I watched it the night before last. I watched it because it was on TV,
The original?
and then what's up?
The original Point Break?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
With Keanu and Patrick Swayze,
Patrick Swayze.
and like,
Yeah.
and I saw it, and I was just like, wow, this is a good movie. And I got tired of watching commercials, so I actually then went on to like another service, got it, rented it, and then like started
Yeah.
watching it. Like picked it up where I stopped, and then watched the rest of it, and then watched the beginning just so I could still be in that same moment. And it was a great movie. It reminded me a lot of Heat, like the things I love about Heat when I encountered Heat for the first time, which was like 5 years ago. And like both of these movies are early 90s movies that I absolutely love now. But here's one. I'm reading the fine print, Arnie. I don't mean to go too long, but I'm reading the fine print, and like the people who brought this over are Canal Plus and Orange. Orange is Singular Wireless in France. They're literally like, they look exactly like Singular Wireless. So they're basically AT&T. What we know as AT&T is Orange, and so like they got a
It's like Telcel in Mexico.
Yeah, they have, yes, and they have like a telephone company doing this Netflix thing. And like it's just so interesting, that quote that you read, that like people like to watch TV. Well, this channel isn't gonna be like, the way I watch Netflix is like I have it on an app on my television. I don't know how you watch it. I think you have like a Roku or something, and like
I have
that's the
many
way,
devices.
right? But still, that's just like the normal like way you consume it, is like through something like Roku, or I have my Apple TV. I have like a regular TV that I have an app on. They said that this particular channel service will only be available on the web browser version of Netflix, which doesn't even make sense to me. Everything that we've read so far in this article does not make sense why it's only going to be released on a web portal version only of Netflix.
For sure, and that's a good point to bring up, for sure. But at the end of the day, this is all still being tested, right? And it's only going to be happening in France. It's only going to be in that area, right? It's definitely got some caveats to it. It's an interesting thing that they're finally doing, that I've wanted them to do for a long time. And kind of like backtracking to like your Point Break thing, there was a lot of movies and culture that I would have not have known about if it not had been for me just kind of scrolling through HBO, scrolling through channels as a kid. Specifically, Kevin Smith movies. I would have not known about Kevin Smith if I had not had the pleasure of running into Mallrats at 2 o'clock in the morning on a fucking summer night in the
Such a
fucking
great movie.
6th grade, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Things like that I would not have discovered if it had not been for some sort of just curated thing or channel thing that it's going. Right?
No, you're right. It's interesting that they're going at it now, because I just think this is something that still exists. This isn't like Amazon going brick and mortar to me. This is like something that's still in our everyday lives, and I feel like they're a little late to the game. I think they should have gone a little earlier. But yeah.
I'd imagine that maybe, and the reason that they're doing this through a kind of a, it's kind of like a through an intermediary. I'd imagine that maybe they don't want to spend the processing power on this type of thing, because I'd imagine that, I mean, also Netflix is also one of the biggest companies in the world. They are up there with Google, with Amazon, as being some of the biggest tech companies in the world, and I'd imagine they have the processing power to create these kind of channels. I don't know.
You're saying that they don't want to wake up one Wednesday morning and their site not work?
yeah, like YouTube. Yeah,
I didn't say anything.
It's weird. Yeah.
Thank you for publishing on
YouTube went down today. Weird. You didn't go crazy. I didn't go crazy. Oh, by the way, I hope to God this records, because I forgot to hit the record button on my OBS. Hopefully it's on there. Hopefully it's on the YouTube channel so I can download it later.
You might watch this and lose it accidentally.
Yeah. Damn. Either way. But I think it just kind of makes sense, like Netflix has original programming, and they license a whole bunch of programming. I mean, I guess as Americans, we're just like used to at this point, like just picking and choosing what we want, and reading things like that. But I know that there are plenty of Americans who are still in that world of just flipping through channels. I know that personally, I'm not that person. I have a cable service through my AT&T wireless simply so I can watch sports, basically, and also so that I can watch a couple of TV shows that send like this happened like maybe 15 years ago. Like basically everything that you subscribe to on your cable network gives you an on-demand option. That's really the only reason I even still have that option as well, so that I can just flip through the stuff on demand after it's been shown, or for the DVR functionality of it. I think this is a no-brainer and something that eventually is going to come to America. I don't know. I think it is an opportunity. And I think it's an opportunity that they haven't like brought up into the forefront for a while. And I think it's something they've probably been thinking about. And the only reason they're doing it apparently is because the French specifically are like just really into flipping channels.
They're weird, man. They still like, I think they still sit around a radio to me.
Makes sense. All right, let's move on to the next bit of news. All right, so Jordan Peele is a busy man. I don't know. Have you seen all of the recent Jordan Peele movies that have been released? Us and Get Out.
I watched Get Out when everybody else did. I did not watch Us.
Okay. Well, from slashfilm.com, the title of the article: Universal wants more Jordan Peele movies, and who can blame them? Quote, after Get Out and Us, Universal wants more Jordan Peele movies, and I can't say I don't blame them. Peele just inked a 5-year first-look deal with Universal, which will result in 2 films that Peele plans to write, produce, and direct. Peele's films with Universal have both been acclaimed and hauled in a total of $500 million at the box office. He's only made 2 movies. So the studio should be crazy to lose him at this point. Ready for more Jordan Peele movies? Universal sure is. The Hollywood Reporter says that they just signed a 5-year exclusive first-look deal with Peele and his Monkey Paw Productions. We can expect at least 2 new Peele-directed movies as a result of this. Regarding the deal, quote from Universal, Jordan has established himself as a premier voice and original storyteller with a global appeal. He is leading a new generation of filmmakers that have found a way to tap into the cultural zeitgeist with groundbreaking content that resonates with audiences of all backgrounds. We also share an important goal with Monkey Paw when it comes to increasing representation on screen in the characters that are portrayed, the stories that are told, and the people who tell them. Peele added, quote, sorry, I'm losing my spot here. It would not have been possible to make Get Out and Us without the endless trust and support we received from the team at Universal, their willingness to take risks, and their commitment to original content makes them perfect collaborative partners for Monkey Paw. I couldn't be more excited for what lies ahead. Peele has Peele's Get Out won the filmmaker a Best Original Script. And before we move any further, I do want to kind of throw down a list of what Peele has going on right now. So as of right now, Peele has produced and or directed these projects: BlacKkKlansman, the Twilight Zone reboot that is on CBS All Access, Lovecraft Country, I think it's Lovecraft Country, the Candyman remake, and a remake of Wes Craven's The People Under the Stairs. Have you ever heard of People Under the Stairs, Drew?
Oh yeah.
That was one of those movies I watched in the middle of the night on HBO as a kid. And honestly, the little black kid, I don't know his name, made that movie so enjoyable. It's like a comedy and just a crazy messed up movie from the 80s. Now, if you guys have seen Jordan Peele movies, I have seen both of them. I believe that as a director and as a writer, he's absolutely visionary. I think was like Us's directing was phenomenal. The man knows how to combine picture and sound in a way that is just like honestly like marvelous and kind of next level. The writing of the movie was a little, it just, the premise when everything kind of came together towards the end, I didn't believe it in a big way. The writing just didn't give me enough confidence in itself. But the directing, phenomenal. The acting, phenomenal. Lupita Nyong'o puts an incredible performance out there. And a lot
I
of
think
people
he's
say
still hit or miss. I don't know if he has found his swing yet. To me personally,
for sure. But he's only made 2 movies. You know, his producing credits are pretty good. Black Klansman, you've seen it, right? Fantastic film.
Yeah, and it's a Spike Lee movie, right? So
Spike Lee.
So I mean, like that. There's no way, you know. I'm glad he got his voice in there, but like it's a Spike Lee movie. It's gonna bring people. It could, you know, it could have been like the worst movie, and it would have brought out an audience, and it was not a bad movie by any means. You know what I mean?
For sure. So yeah, that doesn't exactly. What I think this is really signaling is like that Hollywood in of itself is doing everything it can to be more representative, right? And the fact that Jordan Peele can direct a movie now, like you and I look at script, look at character, look at things like that, and you know we dissect those things. But like to the layman, the guy can make an entertaining as hell movie, and he can make a really entertaining horror movie. Now that's not to say that he doesn't have an amazing prowess to come, because I still believe that his skills as a director are still growing. You know, he definitely peaked real early with his first movie, Get Out. Right?
Yeah, and well, what's crazy is that he's also just fucking hilarious, right? You know, the Key and Peele show has been just hilarious for a long time, and I think he mentioned in a similar article, if not this article, that he's retiring from acting. You know what I mean? Like, so he's gonna stop acting, and like I think this guy has been like great. I think he's been a voice on Rick and Morty. He's been in Fargo. All great things, right? And as you said earlier, he's talking about, you know, revamping or retooling the Twilight Zone. You know, he's gonna do like his own version of it.
Yeah, it's already out.
Yeah, and so like that's a long list of good stuff. I think Lovecraft Country is a great show. You know, it has I don't know if you know, but the lead in it is somebody that we competed against in high school.
I know exactly what. Yep, 100%.
Yeah, Michael, Jonathan Majors. So like, you know, like the guy's great. So like, I don't know, man. Like the sky can be the limit for this guy. I hope he just kind of takes a step back and really concentrates on the project he wants to work on, because I think when this guy's on, he is on. And like Us is not Us, I'm sorry. Get Out was a phenomenal movie with a great premise. And I really loved it because I think I was watching Atlanta at the time, and Atlanta also gave off that creepy vibe, like that creepy kind of vibe in some of these episodes. So like it was a really good thing coming out. So I just hope that he doesn't kind of oversaturate the market with his stuff, because I really do think some of these projects that he's doing are really great.
For sure, and I think this is definitely like beyond just Jordan Peele as a person. He hit with a movie that hit perfectly with the zeitgeist at the moment, right? It is a movie about racial tension. It is in a time where racial tension is just out there in the forefront. Obviously before the George Floyd thing and all that happened, but you know, because of the Trump presidency, we have been really inundated with like coming to grips with our racial, our racial aptitude and or like our racial relations in this country for the last 4 years, right? He definitely hit as a voice in that movement right at the perfect time for him to really benefit from that. And now that Hollywood is doing everything it can to try to push forward a more racially diverse, popular culture zeitgeist, he's definitely part of that. As a filmmaker, I think he is just still coming into his own. And I think hopefully the best is yet to come from him.
Right.
Right, definitely. I'm glad for him to have the opportunity, and it is important for people of color to have these opportunities, to push those, to have more of those people in the room that make those decisions, right? I think that from the story is what I'm taking from it. And, we're living in a world where, like, popular culture is doing everything it can to cater to these voices. And that is a great thing. And something that I hope continues to move forward, right? Right. All right. Next up is something that I'm actually really excited for, simply because when I heard about it, I was like, what is this? Let me pull up the article here. So this is actually just a coming attractions news. This movie is titled Gunpowder Milkshake. I will read the synopsis here. Gunpowder Milkshake. Synopsis. Karen Gillian was a 12-year-old when her mother Scarlett, Lena Headey, an elite assassin, was forced to abandon her. Sam was raised by The Firm, the relentless crime syndicate her mother worked for. Now 15 years old, Sam has followed in her mother's footsteps and grown into a fierce hitwoman. She uses her talents to clean up the firm's most dangerous messes. She is inefficient as she is loyal. But when a high-risk job goes wrong, Sam must choose between the firm and protecting the life of an innocent 8-year-old girl, Emily. When the target on her back, Sam has only one chance to survive: reunite with her mother and her lethal associate, the librarians, Angela Bassett, Michelle Yeoh, and Carla Gugino, however you say her name. The 3 generations of women must now learn to trust each other, stand up to the firm and their army of henchmen, and raise hell against those who could take everything from them. I wanted to talk about this. First up, look, the premise is just, it's ridiculous fun. It feels like something out of Wanted. I mean, this is literally Wanted.
It's a woman wanted.
It's a woman wanted. The cast is unbelievable. Like, if you're a nerd and a proper nerd, you know who these people are. Karen Gillian, former companion to Matt Smith's Doctor Who. Matt Smith, not my favorite Doctor Who. David Tennant, my favorite Doctor Who. However, Matt Smith, the doctor of some of my absolute favorite episodes of Doctor Who. Notably, Demon's Run, an incredible episode, one of the best episodes of television ever. Also, she was Nebula in Endgame and all of the other, in Guardians of the Galaxy. Also, Lena Headey, who is, of course, Cersei, and also another really, really badass Lena Headey performance, Judge Dredd. You ever watched that one? Did you watch that, Judge Dredd? The what's the guy's name? He's on Star Trek. He plays the doctor.
Original, or are you talking
not
about
the original,
like
the remake that had just came out?
The remake.
Yeah.
No.
I forgot. Carl Urban, Keith Urban, or that guy. She plays the villain in that movie. Fantastic as well. Yeah, it's a great movie too. We should watch that one. Angela Bassett. I mean, come on, it's Angela Bassett. Also, Angela Bassett deserves a fucking Oscar. This woman deserves an honorary Oscar for all of her work. Michelle Yeoh, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and then Carla Gugino. I don't know how to say her name. Of like every single Robert Rodriguez
I think you
movie.
said it right every single time that you said it. You don't know how to say it.
Either way, I don't know if I said it right. It might be Gugino, Gadon. I don't know.
What's funny is, like, you know what, Lena Headey, she's one of my favorite, like, unpopular opinion maybe, but she's one of my favorite Sarah Connors.
I did not watch that TV show, but I hear it is a good TV show. I have heard nothing but good things about that TV show. The Sarah Connor Chronicles?
Yeah, she was pretty good. I liked her. I liked her character in it more. Like I liked her playing it more than the show. But that's what I will say.
Okay. That makes sense. I understand. I believe that she's an incredible actress. I honestly believe that these are all incredible actresses. I have seen incredible performances from all of these women.
I've loved Carla Gugino, like just staring at her since she was on Entourage.
For sure.
Because she used to be the
yeah.
Oh, and Watchmen. Watchmen, of course.
Yes.
Like, you know, how old was I when Watchmen came out? Like
that was in
9,
2012, I think.
Is 09, I think. And then
okay.
Watching her naked body in Watchmen.
Yes.
The 9-year-old me was very happy.
You were not 9 years old when Watchmen came out.
Oh, I'm sorry, the 19-year-old me, which is even,
I was about to say,
even more embarrassing, but still.
Yes, yes, absolutely beautiful. But a fantastic cast and a premise that I think is going to be entertaining as hell. Now, kind of one side note: the directors of this movie and the writers of this movie, complete unknowns, and they've barely done anything. They've kind of just come out of obscurity. I don't know if it's going to be a good movie. I just am excited for this cast. Right? And
okay. I mean, you know, you and I have reviewed a couple movies this year where it's like, I forgot which one it was, but like the director was just like some guy who liked to do music videos.
Yeah.
And they were really good at doing like fighting things in Europe. And then now they came to do their first American. Who were those brothers that we did a movie on? Who like they had never done anything? Was it Bad Boys?
It was Bad Boys. Bad Boys.
Bad Boys, man. And like they were like, yeah, dude, we love doing shit that no one's ever heard of in Europe, and we're no names. And we thought like this would be a good film to start with in US. I was like, yeah, sure, man. Let's come and get it. Let's do this.
Okay, so I've got the director's name pulled up. I don't know how to say this name. Navot. Navot. His last name is Papushado. Papashundo. He's from Israel.
None of us should ever try to pronounce
I shouldn't have tried to say this name. He's made a movie called Big Bad Wolves and Rabies. They look like horror movies. They look like Israeli horror movies. He's got a couple TV credits.
No, man, this guy's slim.
Yeah, it's just there just isn't much here. But a studio has greenlit this movie. It is in production. There are screenshots right now. I'm looking at Angela Bassett holding a shotgun, staring at me, with Michelle Yeoh and Carla Gugino looking at me, and I just want to see this movie. I just like teenage me who loves movies just wants to be in the theater and watch this movie and watch some dumb fun is what I think it's probably going to be, right? Just a total fun fest. I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was a good thing to bring up.
You know, like I was reading, you know, I was going through like Slash Films, you know, like in preparation for this, and I saw a film that caught my eye. It was Jake Gyllenhaal was going to do a film. Sorry, I have to mention this.
It's a Michael Bay film. You're talking about a Michael Bay film. He's gonna,
yeah.
He's doing the next Michael Bay joke.
Yes, thank you. But I don't mean to even bring up this story most likely, but it's like a speed-like action movie called Ambulance. But why does this dude have a credit for also a movie called Ambulance?
It's just a good thing. People be making movies.
Isn't that odd? And his Ambulance is in post-production.
Oh, it says pre-production here.
Oh, my bad.
Is it the same movie? What? It's in pre-production too.
That's all I'm asking, man.
Whoa, wait,
what?
I'm looking at it too. The people can see it too. So Michael Bay and this dude are gonna direct two movies called Ambulance.
I don't know. Man. I think next year our plans should be to watch both ambulances.
Okay.
Tell us how we feel about the two.
We're gonna watch this one first because this one's already in the can. It looks like, right? Well, that was fun.
Oh, okay. I just had to bring that up because like I would love to see this guy's versus Michael Bay's.
Yeah, yeah,
After we just talked about Bad Boys and the No Name Brothers
yeah.
and Michael Bay's original Bad Boys, it's just like it seems so fitting.
Well, I think we liked. I actually liked the Bad Boys 3 that they did. It was good. It was good. It was interesting because we watched that movie after the George Floyd protest, and it's interesting how after all of that social like zeitgeist shifting, we watched that movie, and like that movie is literally just cop porn, right? Like it's literally just like Will Smith just going crazy, and like with my mind now about like police brutality, I'm like, bro, a lot of this stuff probably wouldn't fly nowadays. Anyway, if you're watching this, go watch our review of Bad Boys 3. It's probably on our, I don't know if it's on the YouTube, but it's on our Kinetic Impressions podcast feed. I'm pretty sure. If it's not, we're going to put that on there soon. It's pretty fun. All right, let's move on to some interesting news. So like what I want to talk about next is actually it's kind of like two movies, but like first let's talk about Jurassic Park. So Jurassic Park Dominion has finally wrapped production. I'm going to read a little bit here from the director, Colin Trevorrow, because the production for this movie has gone through a whole lot of problems. So production started, and then the pandemic started, right? So they went through so the whole span is 9 months. But, like the pandemic started, and then they had to shut down production, and then they restarted production during the actual pandemic, right? So let me just read a bit here from Colin Trevorrow. Reflections with, quote from an article on Deadline. On Friday, following the official end of filming, according to the outlet, Trevorrow reflected that there was a lot of emotions, and he went on to say, I am sure that I cannot put into words. It has been a remarkable. Our cast and crew has been so resilient. All producers have worked around the clock to make it the best it can be. Now, this isn't from the article, but I know stuff about this movie. Colin Trevorrow, if you know about the Jurassic World trilogy, directed the first Jurassic World. I thought that movie was thoroughly enjoyable and a very good follow-up to the first Jurassic Park. It was essentially what the first Jurassic Park kind of wanted to be, but it turned it he actually brought the park to life, and I thought it was entertaining. He did not direct the second movie. He left that directing duty up to J.A. Bayona. Now, I forget the name of that second Jurassic World movie. So that movie critically, way better than Jurassic World, right? And it also made more money. Personally, I didn't think it was better than Jurassic World. But at the end of that movie, it left the story in a place that was very uncertain. So I'm not going to bring up spoilers for that movie, but if you've watched the ending of that second Jurassic World movie, your mind is like, where the hell is this going? And Colin Trevorrow specifically took a break from making that movie so that he could position himself to write this movie, Jurassic World Dominion, which I'm going to bring this up too. I'm bringing up a tweet that Sam Neill posted at the beginning of production because Jurassic Park Dominion brings back Jeff Goldblum, Sam Neill, and Laura Dern back to the Jurassic World, back to the Jurassic franchise. I don't know the story that he's trying to say with this movie, but I know that he's taken his time, and and I'll say this about production halting. Production halting does some real good stuff to the script. Why? Because now you have time to work on the script after you film some stuff. It always elevates movies. It happened to Mission Impossible Fallout. When Tom Cruise broke his foot on that movie, it gave what's his name, Brad Bird. It wasn't Brad Bird. It was Christopher McQuarrie time to fine tune the third act of that movie, and it was way
good.
better.
It was good. Yeah.
It was, dude. The Mission Impossible, dude. Tom Cruise, great. I believe that it will just make all the better. It'll make this movie all the better.
I hope so. I mean, like, I can't say like I've watched both of the movies. I watched both Jurassic World movies. I couldn't tell you which is which because they all just kind of flow together to me. But I love Bryce Dallas Howard. Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt. They are two phenomenal actors, and I love what they did with it. BD Wong is an excellent. He's always the excellent evil scientist in everything I've watched. So I love when he gets to play that.
he's been typecast for sure from that original.
I mean, I wouldn't consider Mr. Robot a typecast because he's the most evil, weirdest character in Mr. Robot.
He wasn't even evil in the first Jurassic Park movie either, you know?
He still is a scientist.
Yeah, he was a scientist, yeah.
Scientists, I don't know. In the Jurassic series, scientists are evil because they want more creation.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's the only thing I say. But I don't know. I mean, I remember seeing The Lost World in movie theaters, like going to, and I remember my brother had a Jeep. So like we made it a thing to like go in the Jeep to go see Jurassic World. Like it made us feel more rugged and more like, you know, in tune with the movie. I was so excited for that. The Jurassic Park series was amazing. I love the original Jurassic Park. So to see that tweet that you showed and Sam Neill's like, you know, look at my old friend, and he's like pointing at the hat. It's great. Jeff Goldblum's gonna be killer in it because you know you gotta, as long as they do the water trick, the shaking water glass, I'm gonna be happy. I'm sold. I'm gonna go watch it as soon as like movies come back in life. You know, you gotta love Bryce Dallas Howard because she was conceived in Dallas, Texas, so she gives a personal shout out to all of us.
Is that why they named her that? Because she was conceived here?
I'm 49% sure.
Right on. We're in Dallas, by the way, if you're watching this. I hope that this is going to be a good closing because it feels like that's what he wants it to be, right? He's bringing back the old crew to come back and join Bryce Dallas Howard to come back and close the story up. And if you've watched the last movie, we don't know where the fuck this is going. There's some wild, crazy stuff we're going into. Like, I just don't know where you can go with this, you know? Like, it's just it's crazy. But like the also part of this is that this is a big Hollywood production that has gone through the midst of an entire global pandemic. And they have plowed ahead to complete this movie. Personally, I think that the time off is going to help the movie. I think time off always helps the movie. I hope that it delivers, and I hope it's a great movie. And I hope to God we can watch this in the movie theater, right?
I hope movie theaters still exist.
Yeah, man, dude, it is getting bad out there for movie theaters. I kind of wanted to keep this thing positive, so I didn't want to bring up any of that stuff, but I might bring that up next week because there's some developments in that front as well. Not good. So I'm going to switch gears here. Jurassic World Dominion, excited for it. I want to talk about another movie. Well, not another movie, but really just like kind of it is part of the movie industry. So Jason Blum, in an article from /Film, stated that he was basically, this whole article is entitled, "The Pandemic is Increasing Film Production Budgets by 10 to 20%, according to Jason Blum." From the article, in a new interview, quote, Jason Blum said, PPE factors into the budgets of movies in an era of the coronavirus. How does PPE budget factor in? His answer may surprise you. It's 10 to 20% of the production cost. In addition, 10 to 20%, it ain't cheap. From the article, the guy states this. Let's apply those numbers to, frankly, just apply those numbers. The movie had been filmed before, two movies that had been filmed before the pandemic, right? But let's imagine that it was lined up to shoot while the virus was raging. Adding 10 to 20% of its $5 million budget brings the cost up to between $5.5 million to $6 million. Not too bad, right? But now apply that same metric to something much more expensive, like, say, Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, one of the most expensive movies ever made. That production reportedly cost $379 million, a waste of money. Excuse me. It's me. Adding an additional 20% would bring that total to an astronomical $454 million. I believe that's almost half a billion, isn't it? Am I wrong about that? Is my math wrong about that? It's like half a billion, right?
Half a waste of money.
Yeah, half a waste of money. Yeah, terrible.
Right, and it's only going to go to us. It's only going to be thrown out to the consumer. It's going to push streaming and ticket prices instead of the $4 that we're $14 that we're paying right now to go see a movie in the theaters, or the $10 that we're using to purchase it streaming, or $3 that we're using to rent it streaming. It's going to add another $4 or $5 across the board for all of that. That's just going to be handicapping the movie industry in general to me. That's just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's putting a problem on top of an already an industry that is just like hurting really bad from everything that's happening right now.
And like, it's so sad because this is not a dying industry. If anything, this industry has gotten stronger in a way through this pandemic because people know that they need media. They need something to consume when we've had a dry spell of not having new movies and new shows because of this pandemic. People realize that they need this industry. The only thing now is that we're crippling one side of the movie industry, and it's going to create some bad monopoly. I don't know. I don't mean to like negative spout this, but it's gonna create something that's gonna be uncomfortable for the movie theater.
For sure.
For the whole moving forward for all the movie industry in general.
Absolutely, and I think that's a really good point to bring up there. Just streaming in general has brought more life to production houses. Television shows are being produced at astronomical numbers now because of streaming platforms. The medium of film and television, which honestly they're different, but they're the same in a lot of ways, has grown because of the fact that there is just simply more audience. And with the internet being moved into larger spaces such as Africa, like the African market, when that gets internet, and when Elon Musk puts a whole bunch of, and Facebook puts a whole bunch of satellite and or weather balloon internet across that continent, it's going to raise the amount of content that we're going to need in the world, right? Kind of backtracking a little bit to kind of the past, piracy was a big problem too. And privacy, the effect that piracy had on the industry is that we are no longer really the industry is scared to make truly original medium budget movies, right? You will have your Pirates of the Caribbean franchise for sure. You will have your Avengers for sure. But
Jurassic Park.
You will have these movies. You will have those movies. But you will no longer have the medium budget movies, such as Matchstick Men is one that I bring up a lot, right? Usual Suspects. These kind of medium budget movies are just not going to be released in theaters as much anymore because of piracy. Right. These movies are not being made as much anymore. But now that streaming has come into the fold and brought new breath and life into it, there are not just that, but like the TV shows that are being produced by old movie producers are incredible. Such as you've got what's that Mindhunter? That is a David Fincher TV show, right?
Right.
That kind of stuff is now coming out into the fold and helping the industry. Now,
But and like and the, the industry's handicapping themselves, or like not handicapping themselves, but like to bring up your point, I mean, like what David Fincher just signed like a exclusivity deal, like a 4-year exclusivity deal with Netflix.
Yeah.
Because of things like this, just because like they want to keep the content in their streaming platform as opposed to it, finding its way anywhere else.
For sure. And then you've got Amazon coming into the fold, creating their own productions because they have a streaming platform. And honestly, Amazon doesn't really need the streaming platform. They make all their money out of web apps. But it's nice to have, it's a pedigree. It's something that they have to have on their docket to get people into the store. But bringing COVID into this, thing about COVID, it is going to be temporary, right?
Yeah.
The science is out. We will have a vaccine. And traditionally, the way pandemics goes in human history, they do end, right? Either they run their way through the population, or we get vaccines and we stop them in their tracks. We did it with smallpox. Smallpox is almost completely and utterly eradicated from the planet. Measles, completely and almost completely eradicated. Side note, measles, almost gone. If the U.S. pulls out of the WHO, that may not happen. But if we stay in, we might eradicate the measles within 3 years. Eventually, that will go away. But the movies that are currently in production, and there are a lot of them, have to go through these things. Apparently, there are things like pods being created on movie production sets where there are like 4 different pods, right? You got second unit, first unit, and then you've also got like a pod with these actors and those actors. Things like these are kind of changing the way that people make movies, and I think are going to change the way they make them into the future. I think into the future, at least for the foreseeable future, I think eventually with the vaccine and everything, we're gonna become less conscious about germs. I think that's just gonna fade after a while. But in the recent future, I'm not gonna be okay with shaking everybody's hand.
No.
I think fist bumps and elbow bumps are here to stay for a while. And I think masks on sets and masks in general are going to be around for a while as well. And that is also going to figure into these budgets for at least the close future, right? And hopefully movie theaters survive, man. That's a whole other piece of the puzzle here. I think we'll talk more about that next time we do news, because we really,
I think to your just like what you were saying, man. Like I really think it's going to be a sad day of like films. Like one of my favorite films as of recent that I was just telling somebody about is Chris Evans's directorial debut, Before We Go. Okay. It's a ripoff of like Before Sunrise. It's kind of like
oh my god, yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that movie. Yeah.
It's a very similar movie to that.
Yeah, it's.
But it's if you just take it as the movie by itself, it's an independent movie. It was done on a very low budget. I mean, nowadays, I think it would be considered nowadays a low budget. It was $3 million budget.
Super low budget, right? Yeah.
It made a video on demand debut of 1.5 million. Ahead of its theatrical debut, and it made like $500,000 in theatrical movie, so it's just crazy. But and this was like 6 years ago. But I'm just thinking about like this was the start of like when they were going to try to release movies on video on demand and stuff like that in 2014, when we were just talking about it, thinking it was a pipe dream.
For sure.
And like we're not going to get films like that. We're not going to get films like Safety Not Guaranteed. We're not going to get films like Little Miss Sunshine or I don't know. I'm going blank right now, but like those classic films that I remember, Napoleon Dynamite, like those classic films that I remember as a kid growing up to and thinking like that's why you want to make movies. That's why you want to go to the movies is to find those gems because that's all we're looking for, right? We know what the big hits are. We know they know what's gonna bring people. They know what's gonna bring audiences to the movie theaters. It's gonna be remakes on remakes on remakes, right? Like everything that's been out so far is just a remade story, right? Yeah. We're all doing biopics. We're doing A Star Is Born twice a decade. Where
like, already in the zeitgeist, remake movies.
It's all reruns, man.
Yeah.
But to find those movies, to find those hidden gems, to find hidden gems is a good point. Like to find films like that is what moviegoers actually go to the movies for. And how are we gonna, if we cut out the low budget and medium budget films, like you're saying, how are we gonna find those films? So we should change the subject, but like I agree we should talk about this more in upcoming times and like maybe in a different show. But hey, Arnie, you got to tell me about this thing, man, because last week you left me hanging. Last time we did this, we talked about some wicked spoilers that you were going to let me know this time, and I got so excited about Space Jam, the LeBron movie that we all cannot wait to come out because I love the original Space Jam. And we just talked about how bad reruns are, but like this is a rerun that like we're definitely all going to go see because of its magicalness that we all got hit with during our childhood. So let me know, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a fucking weird one. You all know about a little movie called Space Jam. Movie made back in the early 90s with your man, Michael Jordan. So there is going to be a new movie released by Warner Brothers, Space Jam 2, tentatively titled Legends, starring LeBron James, the current GOAT. I guess they're going to do new GOAT movies, right? So we all know about Space Jam 2. It's been in the zeitgeist for a while. But there has been a rumor, and a pretty big rumor. And I want to preface all of this by saying spoiler as hell. Because if I was a kid, if I was just a moviegoer, and I didn't know about this, I wouldn't want to know about it. I would want to know about it as soon as I walk in the theater and be surprised by it. Because this is, to me, really exciting. According to rumors, from MovieWeb.com, Space Jam 2 has leaked images to reveal, spoiler, if you don't want to know anything about Space Jam 2, that the Joker, Pennywise, and Jim Carrey's The Mask will be appearing alongside LeBron James and the Looney Tunes in Space Jam 2. Now, I'm gonna pull up the images that were leaked, and have you seen the images, Drew? I'm showing them to you, right? Now, I don't know if this is really Jim Carrey. It doesn't really look like him, but it might be. Now,
they're talking about like, isn't there supposed to be a female-led Mask coming out soon or something?
I honestly haven't heard anything about that. All I've heard about Mask is that they want to do a TV show. I've heard that.
Got it.
And I don't know about a female-centric one. I know that The Mask is a property that still makes money, like the on-demand version of it still makes money. But if you look at so I'm looking at these photos, right? Now, these were leaked, right? No one knows if these are real, but the reports of Jim Carrey being the Mask in Space Jam 2 came out about a month ago. This image was leaked about 2 weeks ago. So if you're going to put 2 and 2 together in the rumor mill, I think we're going to get a movie with all these clowns, with all these Warner Brother clowns coming together and fighting the Monstars. I don't know if the Monstars are going to be in this movie. I don't know. It's the Monstars.
It might be a
Tunes.
clown, like some kind of clown team.
Yeah, some kind of straight up clown team. If you look at these images, I mean, that is Pennywise. That looks like the Joker, and that is definitely the Mask. I don't know if it's Jim Carrey. You're looking at it too, right? Does it look? I mean, it might be.
It's even hard to tell if that. It's even hard to tell if that's even Jared Leto or not. You know what I mean?
I don't think that's Jared Leto.
I know everybody everyone said it's not Jared Leto.
Jared Leto's Joker.
It looks similar.
It does. It looks similar to. It looks like Jared Leto's Joker. Right. It does look like Jared Leto's.
As much as it looks like Jim Carrey's Mask.
Right. And that Pennywise does. It looks like the current Pennywise.
Right.
He's one of who plays the Pennywise. He's one of the Hemsworth brothers, isn't he?
Oh, is it?
I think it is. It's one of the Hemsworth. I think it's one of the Hemsworths. Because there's three of them. It looks like this just looks nuts, right? And if you think about like what else are we doing here? Like what are there any other characters we're gonna bring into this fall? Like what other Warner Brother characters are there? I mean,
it says Bill Skarsgård.
Bill Skarsgård. Okay, Skarsgård. So it's a Skarsgård kid. So it's so I'm getting my beautiful blonde European families mixed up here. There's the Hemsworths and the Skarsgårds.
That is something that can happen. It's fine.
yeah, for sure. I mean, this is just nuts, and this is like getting like my like little child self that used to like look through all of these like movie website rumor mill websites getting going. I'm like, what? This is nuts. This is really gonna happen. I'm like, we're knowing this real super early too. I'm interested to see what they do with this because if you remember the Mask, it was basically bringing all of the cartoonish stuff into the real world. Like it wasn't just like it wasn't like a Space Jam or a Who Framed Roger Rabbit where it was Looney Tunes in the world. No, they brought all of these like gags and stuff into the real world, and it was really fun. You remember the original Mask? That's still a fun movie.
Oh yeah,
it's still a fun movie. Also, the best Cameron Diaz.
Yes,
that was when I fell in love. Oh my God, Cameron Diaz in that movie. Whew. It's still a good movie. Still holds up too. I am interested in seeing what they do with these guys. Right, like it's fucking.
Cameron Diaz has been out there for a long time. You and I were just talking about Any Given Sunday, and we were just like, she is ageless. She just keeps like showing up in like every movie from every decade that we talk about.
Absolutely. Yes. Cameron Diaz, 10 out of 10, would recommend. Absolutely. I'm interested to see what gags that they come up with in this movie. If this is happening, we have the Mask, which has, otherworldly powers to bring the cartoonish world into the real world. You got Pennywise, which his character bends reality and can control people. And then you've got the Looney Tunes, and you got LeBron James. I mean, this is just shaping up to be just a whack-tastic fantasy film, right? It's gonna be like a Looney Tunes movie / like a horror movie.
It's giving them some backstory. I mean, like, where were the Monstars from? Like, were they from something? I don't know. They were just
from some old planet that had a planet that had an old rundown amusement park that nobody was going to anymore. And they were jealous of the Looney Tunes because everybody was watching them.
At least we know the origins of all these different characters so far.
For sure. Yeah, we know the origins of this. I don't know how they're going to bring him in. Bill Murray's reportedly coming back too.
Well, and it does look like, it does look in these pictures that like the Joker and Pennywise are in two things, right?
Yeah.
But like it also looks to me that like Jim Carrey, or who we think is the Mask, is he looks to be the referee.
Oh, yeah.
He's in a referee.
I thought that was maybe like a suit of some kind, but you're right. He looks like he's dressed up like a ref, dude.
So he could be a ref. It makes.
Okay.
I would watch it as if the Mask was reffing. That's kind of funny, like I like it.
Especially if they got Jim Carrey. If Jim Carrey's in this movie, dude.
And an all-clown team in Warner Brothers sounds good.
Oh, yeah. I hope they bring back the Animaniacs. I don't know where this movie's going. I'm excited for it. If this is what it is, I'm excited for that first trailer. Because I bet that first trailer, nobody knows this is going to go down. Right? Nobody knows that there's possibility of bringing the Mask and Pennywise and Joker in this. When that first trailer drops, it's gonna be nuts. We were talking about movies being remakes, right?
Yeah.
How do you make sure this movie makes money? Let's bring in the Mask, the Joker, and Pennywise into this pitch. I don't know how well the Mask did. I'd imagine it did pretty well. I know Pennywise was like the most highest grossing like R-rated movie, and I know, you know, obviously the Joker, Batman, you know, make sure this is the studio being like, how do we make sure this is a sure thing? How do we make sure that people come watch this movie, adults and children, right? Bring
it might be one of those things that, like, I mean, the family and kids movie thing, to be straight to streaming platform, we've already seen that, like, Mulan made money at $20 a pop.
It was
so
you had to like pay for Disney plus
and the movie,
and you had to pay to rent it.
And people, but like, what was the kids movie that came out that was like a true kids movie?
I literally, it was a Pixar movie.
Yeah, like something like that. Like, people were paying out the wazoo to watch it multiple times.
Yeah, for sure. It was called Soul. That was released as well.
Yeah,
it's called Soul. Yeah, you know, this is kind of a perfect way to end this too, because this kind of brings home everything we talked about today, right? It's a movie property being released. It's a sequel. It's a rehash. It's a movie that I believe is in production during during the pandemic, right? Also, it brings in horror elements, which is interesting because, like, Jordan Peele is a horror movie director, and it's interesting the way, like, I've seen the movie industry do this recently, and it makes a lot of sense. They bring in, I think Warner Brothers does this a lot too. They only pick new directors to come in to take over the big movie projects that are from horror. I don't know why. I have an idea. I believe it's because horror is literally the only way to make an original movie and make sure it makes money, because horror movies just make money. And
I was about to say, very similarly, like, they are the only films that are low budget,
originals,
with very little, but they also very little budget and make profits, because I've always been in like, you know, we've talked about this multiple times too. I've always been like kind of just impressed by the horror genre, because if we just produced a movie that, you know, like, resembled a horror film, and then it came out and it was somewhat good, no matter what, people are going to go see the horror genre movie that's playing in the movie theaters.
Absolutely.
That's like the classic date night. To see a rom-com, I think more people would go see a horror film than a rom-com if it came out during Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's just cliche. And so I think it makes more money on the rental and, like, movie theater side than anything.
Right, and then like horror movies in general have their own streaming service called I think it's Shudder or Schroeder, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so horror, and like I've seen, I specifically Warner Brothers, but I think a lot of other movie studios do this too, where they pick out directors who have made a name in horror, like Jason Wynn, who directed the first Saw and made the Insidious movies and produced a lot of horror. They were like, we gave you a lot of money to make these horror movies. You made us a lot of money, little really good original movies. Come make Aquaman. Please make Aquaman. Great movie. And I think that's what's happening in the movie studios, where the original filmmakers coming in to create big budget movies are horror directors because of that point. Because horror movies, unlike all of these other big budget movies or other movies being released right now, are the ones that are allowed to be original, take chances. They usually have a crap budget. They're really small. So you have a filmmaker who is able to do a lot with a little, right? It's just an interesting dynamic that's kind of coming to fruition. That horror is just becoming the avenue for filmmakers to really come in. And then for Space Jam to bring in the horror characters. Why? Because they know they're a sure thing. You know, it's a sequel. Let's bring in these characters that are a sure thing so to elevate this movie. You know, it's an interesting dichotomy that's kind of happening in the industry, and honestly kind of a cheat code for you like new movie industry people. And honestly, like, I know for a fact that there was a movie that was bought by, I think, Netflix or Amazon that was made for like $4,000, and it was a guys who like made it with like, I think it was like a Canon 6D or something.
Shit.
Right? Like, you can make horror movie, like fucking Paranormal Activity horror movie. You can make that movie right now with the camera that we're both using. We can literally, like, the cameras that we are both using right now to stream this on the internet. We can use these cameras to make a horror movie and sell it. As long as it's scary and it has jump scares, you can sell that.
I mean, like I just looked it up. Saw movie was on a $1.2 million budget and made $103 million worldwide.
Plus spawned a franchise that has made countless millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars.
And there has been the highest grossing film, or the highest budgeted film, was $20 million. The second highest film was 11. They've produced like 7 films, all maxed out at a $10 million budget. The only one that was $20 million was Saw 3D, and that was because of all the technology it took to make it 3D.
Yeah, you need massive hard drives and giant cameras.
That's the only reason why.
Yeah.
They've all made hundreds of millions of dollars each one. I think the worst one was like Saw 6 or something. Like, it was that's it.
They're just, scary movies are fun movies to watch if they're, because, the script can be whatever, the actors can be whatever. As long as the scares work, like, that's all you really need. I'm excited for Space Jam 2. I've completely bought into the machine. If the machine has made this movie, I'm gonna watch it. Right? I'm gonna watch it. If it's a fucking Looney Tunes movie with a bunch of characters that I've seen and have scared the shit out of me, I'm gonna watch it.
I know. If the Animaniacs come out of the water tower, I'm gonna be very excited.
Very, very
but I think that's a wrap, man. I think we did it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think this is it, my man. Let's bring it home. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Kinetic Impressions Movie News. Please look us up on every podcasting platform that there is known to man. Kinetic Impressions. I'm Arnie Diaz. You can find me at Arnie Diaz89 on every social media, and also I have a podcast called The Arnie Diaz Show. Please look it up, my man.
Yeah, man. Only thing I want to say is keep watching us, keep following us, hit whatever it is, hit like, hit follow,
or like.
And I'm gonna say it this time: go watch a movie.
Go watch a movie, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
This is Drew, by the way.
I'm Drew.